picture of my great-great-grandmother Menefee on my daddy's side. And the little boy is her great-great-grandson, Carol. Grandmother died in the old Confederate home in Austin, Texas, a widow of a Confederate soldier, my grandfather, at the age of 96 years old. This is a picture of my dad and mother's on their wedding day. Walter Ernest Liles and Pearl Clarence Godby in 1911. Get a hold of that hat. Dad was 19 and mother was 24. The locket she's wearing, I still have it. My grandfather Godby gave that to her on her 18th birthday, I believe. I still have the wedding ring also that he gave her, which was just a ring that parents give to their daughters. It's a little gold band.
Where did Grandpa get to know?
Oh, my dad worked for my grandfather Godby from the time he was 14 years old until 19, and he finally won the heart of the farmer's daughter. No, my grandfather wasn't a farmer. He was a rancher. The old Coggin Ranch in Brownwood, Texas, and I'm sure that that's probably where they were married, was in Brownwood.
He's how old there?
Brownwood, Texas. He was 19, and my mother was 24. Of course, in those days, girls weren't as free as they are today to look for husbands, I suppose, so they claimed that it was really a love match on my mother's part. I don't know. I think my dad was kind of a playboy.
How old was your mom when she passed away?
My mother passed away in 1925, so I think she was probably about 37 years old. She died in November the 25th, 1925. I was 3 years old. I had a brother older, two brothers older, Leroy and Willard, for who I named my baby son after, was Willard. And Leroy too, because his name was Lee.
What'd she die of?
She died of Bright's disease and dropsy. My dad was a rodeo man. He had his own rodeos and made a living for us for a number of years. I can remember him riding, and he made the statement that if he was ever thrown, he'd quit riding. And I think he was thrown about in 1940 or 41 in the field by an old mule, and he never rode again. But my dad was an excellent rider. They called him Wild Bill the Bug Tamer. I remember he had a blue satin shirt that was hand embroidered that a lady made. My mom, my stepmother, made it, and it had a bull's head on the shoulders and the back. And then he rode longhorn bulls, so the bull's horns went all the way down the back of the sleeves, and it was made out of satin, and blue satin the shirt was. And of course he wore those white shirts with arm garters. My dad was quite a guy. I used to think that he was the most beautiful person that I ever saw. This is another shot of my dad and mother's wedding picture. Get a load of that coat of Dad's. Talking about zoot suiters, this was in 1911. I don't think you can see his shoe boots, but they say that his boots was all custom made. These were regular cowboy boots, except they laced up.
Okay, we're talking about the boots.
Okay. This is another shot of close-up of Dad's boots. I think you can even see that they lace up and that they have a regular bronc riding heel. That was my dad's profession, was bronc riding and bull riding. Okay, this is a close-up of my dad, Walter E. Liles. I guess he was about 19 years old, that's what they said. This was taken in 1911. I think he's a very handsome young man. This is another close-up of my mother. She was 24 years old at this time. This picture is my daddy's mother, his own mother, and her second husband, Mr. Gibson. We just knew him as Grandpa Gibson. I think his name was, I can't think of it right now. And Howard, their son. This is my daddy's baby brother. This picture is a picture of my mother. She was born in 1887, May the 29th, and I believe she was about 6 years old here. Isn't she beautiful? My aunt was telling me that she had blonde hair and that this was a big red velvet ribbon in her hair and a red velvet collar on her dress. She looks like Tiffany.
Which is Willard's.
Which is my baby son's little daughter. This picture is my mother's baby sister. She was probably about 5, I believe, at the time this picture was made. And again, my aunt told me that they were dressed exactly alike, and her collar was red velvet, and her ribbon was also red velvet. And I think she was a blonde also. This picture that's coming up is a picture of my mother and my aunt. This lady, the one on, I guess it would be, what would it be, Mike? The one on the right is my Aunt Alma. That's my mother's baby sister. And when I left home, I went to her house, and she took me in and mothered me like I was hers, and my Uncle Willis also. That's where I was when I met Woody, and we got married. Well, this is a little snapshot of my dad, Walter Liles. I think this was made in the 20s, so he was getting into his 20s here. Get a load of that hat.
Looks like he's got a square jaw.
Oh.
Person there and that.
He was a very handsome man. I used to think my dad was the prettiest person I ever saw. I used to ride in the back seat and look up at him in the rearview mirror and think about all the pretty things that he was. I thought he was the best daddy that ever was. Nobody had as good a daddy as I did when I was little. This picture in the center is my daddy, Walter Liles, and my mother's on the right, and my dad's only sister, Aunt Rosa's, on the left. This was taken, I guess, probably in 1920 or 21, I believe they said. This, again, is my dad and my mother, Walter and Pearl Liles. And possibly this was taken in Oklahoma City. I'm not sure. I believe someone said that it was taken in Oklahoma City.
Who
No,
was that?
that guy on the bucking horse was Ty Manning, I think. And my dad was on the horse. See, my dad running.
Horse.
He would, the one in the white chaps.
Got your dad?
Yeah. He would, when a man would finish his ride, then he'd ride up by the horse, and the cowboy would hook onto him and jump on the back of my dad's horse. That's the way they dismounted.
Oh.
Then later, my dad would start, because, you know, they didn't have all that substantial fences. And then later, my dad would, if the horse wouldn't get up to the bucking horse, he would grab a hold of the fence and get off. And one time we were in Hobart, I think it was, and Dad dismounted on the fence, and his foot hung in the stirrup or the whatever it was, and it broke his leg.
Oh, boy.
And
Is that the one you had to cut the boot off your
yeah,
dad?
we went to the hotel, and he is so stubborn. He wouldn't admit anything was wrong with his leg, and it swelled up in his boot till they had to cut his boot off of it. And he rode with that broken leg. But what my brother over there that lived in Clovis with a broken neck, have you seen him? Waterloo, the one that's okay.
Who do you think this is, Mom?
I think, I'm not sure, but I think this is one of my dad's rodeo hands, Ty Manning. His head. This was taken, I believe, in Mountain Park, Oklahoma. On my dad's rodeo hands, Ty Manning. His head. This was taken, I believe, in Mountain Park, Oklahoma. At one of the rodeos my dad founded. And the rodeos are still going on there every 4th of July. In fact, about 5 years ago, this is 1991, we went to Mountain Park and we were privileged to see one of the rodeos there. And a lot of the old men remembered my dad. Get the picture, Mike. Okay, this is a shot of my dad in 1949 or 50, when they were going back to Oklahoma or coming back to California from Oklahoma, and he was clowning around riding one of those dummy bulls along the highway. My dad was a rodeo man from the time I was born until, I guess, about 1936, 34, 36 was his last rodeo. Never saw him throw in my life. He used to get, he did too. He used to get his broncs out of the Forest Reserve in Oklahoma. He paid $1 a head for them. He'd drive them out, him and the cowboys. Now this is a longhorn bull. Actually, this is like the bulls that my dad rode. The only thing his bulls had big brass knobs on the end of their horn to keep him from goring a cowboy if he got thrown or if he dismounted and the bull could take advantage of him. Like I say, my dad, I never saw him thrown in my life, and he always said if he ever got thrown, that'd be the end of his rodeo days. And an old bugle throwed him in the field down at Leggett, Texas, or something. Liddick, Texas, or else Maynard, and he never tried to ride again. It was one of his old plow mules. Okay, this shot is my picture of my dad and two brothers. This in the middle is Leroy. He's the oldest brother, and the one in the black on a palomina is my baby brother. He was followed after my dad in the rodeo business. And this is my dad on the saddle with a cigarette in his mouth, I guess. I think this was taken at Kerman, probably in, I'd say 48 maybe, 47, 48, something like that. I believe this Palomino is the one that they had vaccinated and took to Oklahoma with them. The one that my brother's riding. The beautiful one with his mouth open there. This was my dad's 20 acres. Taking on my dad's 20 acres that he owned out there at Kerman. This is my dad being baptized in the San Joaquin River on Madera Avenue. I'm not sure, but I think the minister's name was Reverend Hemphill. This was in 1948. Beautiful time in my dad's life. I think something happened there.
That's what he was doing. He died.
Okay, this is my dad in 1948 at Holden Legina. They were moving to Oklahoma. This shot is taken in Rockport, California, Assembly of God Church, where that's my dad and mom entering in at the door. We had evening services because we shared this old school building with the Baptist people. They had their services in the morning and we had ours at 1 o'clock. This picture was taken approximately a month before Dad died. I was a Sunday school teacher here, and Woody was a deacon. I taught the teenagers.
What year was
Loved
this?
it. 1951. Okay, this is one Sunday. Well, in fact, it was the same Sunday that Dad was entering the church door here. This is Fleta and Mama, and that was Dad's new car. That's about all he actually wound up with when he got through selling his ranch and moved to Oklahoma and come back. He had a brand new 1948, 49 car. Which was it? Chevy. This was in 1951.
I remember it was black, wasn't it? He gave us a write-up.
Yeah. He said he bought it in Texas or Oklahoma, one or the other, because they were cheaper than they were in California. And when he got to California, he had to pay sales tax on it and register it, and it cost him the difference. So he might as well have bought it in California.
And I remember he gave me a write-up in the Redwoods.
Yeah.
And it had a push button, you know, on the floor for it to start it.
Oh.
It had an old rubber deal you push down the bottom, you know, instead of an electric start. And
Are we still on?
yeah.
He used to call Mike Escopus, and we'd go up there when he'd be eating, and Mike would saunter up to the table, and he'd say, "What are you up here for, boy?" And Mike would shy away, and he'd say, "You better run on and play. You've already eaten enough now." And then he'd hug him up and call him his boy, Microscopus.
Diddly doker.
Diddly dopus. Okay, this is my dad. This is my stepmother. This is Charlene Liles. She's Hoyt now. This is my sister Margie, my sister Wanda, and this is Carl, our oldest son. I think this was taken in probably 1944. This was taken just before Mike was born in Tijuana, Mexico.
What was you doing that day?
I was going in the garden.
That was Grandpa?
Yeah.
And,
that was Grandpa's garden. That was Grandpa Liles' garden.
is this in Kerman?
Yeah.
What were you guys, what do you have in the ground there? Cotton or?
No, that was a vegetable garden.
Looks like peppers.
Well, he probably had
Native
tomato
peppers.
plants and peppers, and he always planted black-eyed peas and green beans and okra and radishes and green onions and you name it. He planted it. Woody was working at the winery, and we had bought 6 acres from my dad. We lived right behind the right-hand side where Woody is working. We lived up there in a 4-room house. Woody had a little dairy. I think about 8 cows. 8 or 9. What was it, Woody? 8 or 9? 9 cows that he hand milked the morning before he went to work at the Roma Winery.
I'd have to get up before God. Now,
We sold our milk to Danish Creamery. That was probably lettuce that Dad was holding, looks like. Okay, this is another, this is the same shot. I think Dad's holding a little hand plow that you push. I don't know if Woody's holding a hoe. Yeah, I guess he's holding a hoe. Dad's
He's just
pushing
leaning
the
on
plow.
the shovel.
Woodrow was leaning on his hoe. If there'd have been a rattlesnake by, he'd have killed it if he'd had another hoe. Okay, this is a picture of Dad and Mama and Walt Lee. And you can't see me, I'm sitting in a chair. I think Walt Lee was about probably less than a year old. Mom and Daddy were married after my mother died I think they were married in 1926.
There.
Mama raised me like her own daughter. Okay, this is a picture of, let's start on the left. That's my sister Margie, my brother Willard, my baby brother Walt Lee, we called him Bub, and of course that's me. I think this was taken at Mama's when they lived out on Nice. Okay, this is me and Willard. It was taken at Mountain Park, Oklahoma. Willard, I think, was fixing to go fishing, and I was scratching my leg. I believe I was about probably 6 years old there. Willard's straw hat had red tassels all around on it.
Where's this at? Is this back east?
That was taken in Mountain Park, Oklahoma.
How old was you there?
I was probably, I might have been 6. I was probably between 5 and 6. It was before Walter Lee's born, Mama said. I had the measles
That's why you're
when we
still
lived
scratching?
there. Yeah, probably so. Well, I went through my scrapbook, not my scrapbook really, but my pictures that I've collected over the years, and I thought you'd probably like this. I hope you will have as much fun looking at it as Mike and I have had making it. And so I'll say adios for this time.